Hey guys, so in today's video we are going to take a look at how to improve your marksman gameplay. There are some very key factors to remember when you're playing a marksman, and if you're not conscious about them while you're playing, that might end up costing your team the game. In this game I will be using Leslie, because she is extremely popular amongst many players, but all the tips work for any marksman. These are the builds and the emblem setup. There are two kinds of marksmen, the one that has a dash skill and the one that doesn't. So if the marksman you are using doesn't have a dash skill, then you have to rely more on positioning and the extra mobility. That's why with Leslie, I'd rather build her Wind Talker than Scarlet Phantom, because she doesn't have any dash skill. But if you are using a marksman that has a dash skill such as Bruna Moskov, then Scarlet Phantom works way better. I know that a lot of solo players struggle getting a good tank, support or mid player when you're using a marksman. So this is a great example on how to deal with that kind of situation when you're playing solo in rank.
Welcome to Mobile Legends! 5 seconds till the enemy reaches the battlefield. Smash them! All troops deployed!
As you can see, our composition is not the greatest. We have a Sicilian and a Lilia in the middle lane. That's already a recipe for disaster for a mythic rank game.
Enemy in range. Shoot, and you are too.
If you're playing the normal 1-2-2 formation, then it's a good idea to start with the red buff first. A lot of players haven't realized this yet, but after some updates, now missing some minions from the wave is not worthy just to take the jungle monster. They increase the value of the minions from the wave and lower the amount of gold you get from the jungle monsters.
Shoot, come a little closer.
Franco tried to be greedy and hooked the small cam as well. This will result in us losing the melee minion and the small crab.
You won't even know I've missed. I'm neither the hungry wolf nor the sacrificial lamb.
First blood!
When you're playing a 2v1 situation, try to play more aggressively. If you're the tank or support, don't play too passively. Keep pressuring the enemy so either he has to go back to base or has a hard time farming. Our middle lane completely lost their lane, so now the enemy middle lane has all the freedom to gank and pretty much do whatever they want.
Launch attack!
One shot. Dead one for the human. Remember to tell my little brother. It's dinner time.
By the way, in case you didn't notice, our middle lane never took their buff. That would delay Sicilian farming ability by a lot.
Shoot. Cross, hey, launch, around. Shoot.
An enemy has been slain!
When you're in this kind of situation, don't panic. Try your best to keep farming and not die, and I will explain how to do that in a little bit. At this point, the enemy is having the easiest time invading our jungle and whatnot. This happens a lot when you're playing a marksman. So your main priority is to make sure to keep farming as fast as possible and not to die in the process. When the enemies are distracted ganking other lanes, then use the opportunity to push your lane and get some farm done.
To tell my little brother.
As you can see, my tank has completely abandoned my lane, so it will become a lot harder to keep farming the same lane.
Enemy missing!
Here I can hear the enemies are taking the turtle,
Enemy in range.
Request backup!
And you too.
so if I go back to the bottom lane, they can just easily turret dive and kill me.
An ally has been slain! Request backup! The enemy...
I keep asking for assistance, but when you're playing solo, you have to expect nobody will listen to you. In fact, more often than not, they will not listen. So don't get frustrated and just remind yourself that this is something to be expected in solo rank.
Our turret has been destroyed. Request backup.
Remember to tell my little brother.
For a brief moment, I saw that the enemy's Kufra seemed to be heading to the bottom lane. I immediately decided to bail the lane and not even try to defend the turret. It's not worth risking your life, especially if you're the Marksman.
Our turret has
It's extremely important to keep paying attention to the map when you're playing this game, and even more so if you are the ADC. By the way, since I have seen a lot of comments asking what does ADC mean, it stands for Attack Damage Carry.
Enemy in range. And you are too.
enemy missing.
Remember to tell my little brother. It's dinner time. Come a little closer. Shoot, shoot, shoot.
Ally has been requested.
The enemies got very cocky because they were completely dominating our team. When that happens, take advantage of that.
You have slain an enemy. Our turret has been destroyed.
Once you get your first core item, you can start participating in more teamfight. But if nothing is really happening, then just keep farming. But never push by yourself. You are not a fighter or assassin.
Initiate retreat.
Come a little closer.
You have slain an enemy. An enemy has been slain. Ally has been slain.
Remember to tell my little brother. It's dinner time.
Request backup.
Shoot.
When your team has the number advantage, that's when you can safely take the turtle lord. As a rule of thumb, don't try to force it when the numbers are even.
An ally has slain the turtle.
Enemy in range. And you are too.
It's really important to pay attention to the positioning of all the parties involved. I'm talking about the enemies, your team, and your own positioning.
Launch
No,
attack.
I've missed.
Enemy missing.
Shoot.
An ally has been slain. Our turret is under attack.
If you see that your team, especially your tank, backing off, then you should retreat as well. Unless you're winning the fight by a huge margin.
And you are too.
Killing spree.
I'm neither the hungry wolf nor the sacrificial lamb.
Launch attack. Request backup.
You won't even know I've missed. I'm neither the hungry wolf.
Pay very close attention here. Yi Sun-shin has very low HP, and I know his teammates will try to block it, so I'm going to use her second skill to reposition and fool them into thinking that I stop ulting.
Attack.
For the sacrificial lamb.
Mega kill.
Because when you use her second skill, her ultimate animation will cancel, and only after a very short delay, it will shoot the last bullet. I saw Bada moving towards me. If he catches me with his ult, I will probably die. So let's reposition first and wait until he messes up.
A little closer.
Double kill. Your team destroyed a turret. You destroyed a turret. Ally has been slain.
This is you.
destroyed a turret. Lord resurrecting soon.
Nor the sacrificial lamb.
Initiate retreat.
Shoot.
Ally has slain
Remember to tell
Lord.
my little brother. It's dinner time.
Here you can see how important positioning is. When you're playing Marksman, it's important to be in a position that you are not getting hit or in any danger, while at the same time being able to attack the enemies.
An enemy has been slain. Double kill. Wiped out.
Remember, there's no point in having insane damage if your position is terrible and you just end up dying first during the teamfight.
You die.
You destroyed a turret.
I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, consider leaving a like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks.